This is Rough Stuff Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to Rough Stuff Podcast number 22. I'm Garrett, Rough Stuff CEO. I've got Zach, our Rough Stuff President, with me.
Hey.
And today our guest, our Rough Stuff R&D Specialist, Caleb.
How's it going?
And our Sales Manager, Ryan. What's up?
Hello.
So today we wanted to go over Toyota talk, all things Toyota. You guys are fond of Toyotas, have had Toyotas or have them. And we thought it'd be a good opportunity to come and bring you guys in here and just and chat it up. So, if you guys want to run through what Toyotas you have or have had in the past, that'd be cool.
I got a 1986 Toyota pickup, single cab, was a long bed, bobbed 14 inches out of it, 3-link in the front, ORI struts, and then Chevy 63s in the rear, 37-inch tires. Pretty basic Toyota build.
Sweet.
Standard SOP.
Yep.
And then I just sold my 85 4Runner last month. I had it for about 12 years, but had all the goodies in it, air lockers, dual cases, exo on it. Just ran 35s and, all chrome ollie shafts, all the good stuff.
Sweet. And then, so that's been your crawler since day one, right? Or you said you had a Jeep or something, right?
Yeah, I had a Jeep for about a year. I broke it so often that it never really made it to a trail. And after a year of that, I kind of got rid of it. And my brother had a Toyota pickup at the time, so it kind of talked me into going and getting a first gen 4Runner.
Sweet.
And I was very happy with the decision.
Why do you pick a runner over like a pickup?
It's just my brother had a first gen 4Runner at one point when we were in high school, and I really liked it. And after going from a little Jeep Wrangler, I wanted like a little bit bigger of an SUV. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the one to go to. Sick. And the removable top.
Yeah.
Full party.
Yeah.
Totally. I guess, yeah, and there's another seat. I guess you can fit some other people, which is convenient, which is also inconvenient too.
Some people like that. Yeah, some people don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, if it had 4 doors, it'd be easier. But yeah, trying to, squeeze more people into that back seat, it was a pain in the butt unless it was summertime and running it without the top.
Yeah.
So model of choice and why? Like what would you, is what you have now what you prefer, or what you have had in the past?
I would have kept it if it was what I prefer, but I sold it because I'm kind of looking into getting something with a little bit more, go power.
Yeah,
Something with a V8. I'm probably gonna do something custom. But I mean, an ideal Toyota would be a second gen Tacoma. 4-door short bed pickup, and if I can even afford to build one of those.
I think V8s fit in the engine compartment, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yeah. I didn't want to. I'm trying to keep it somewhat street legal, and dealing with the California carb compliance wasn't really working for me.
Doesn't your dad live in Idaho?
He does. Yes.
What about you, Caleb?
I actually prefer the first gen body style on the Toyotas, but they're hard to find. That they're not all rusted out. So yeah, the second gen just happened to be a good deal and came at the right time. So that's what I went with. But the frames are a little stronger on the second gens too. Mm-hmm. But for me, the Tacomas are just too expensive to be building.
What year are the first gens? Do you know? Or where's the break at?
79 to 83, I think.
To 83, yeah. And then second gen started at 84 and ran up to 88, 89, depending on if you had the pickup or the 4Runner.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had an 83 cab. Everything else was Frankenstein, whatever,
Yeah.
Mainly tubing.
Yeah, or 93 motor, 91 harness, and wherever I can find some stuff. But yeah. What about rough stuff gear? Like, what were you guys running on your rigs, and what do you got?
On my 4Runner, I just had the spring hangers for like the 63s in the back, and then the front leaf spring hangers, and then just like U-bolts and top plates. Everything else I just had kind of like a custom built cross member just made out of square tubing, and then exo cage just made out of DOM.
I had a full 3-link kit on the front of my truck. Our shock hoops, motor mounts. When I rolled, broke my motor mounts, so had to put those in there. A lot of people don't like them because they're too stiff, but I like them. Puts all the power to the ground. And and in the rear, yeah, Chevy 63 hangers, shackles, U-bolts, all that fun stuff.
Why don't people like them? Just because they break other stuff, or?
Yeah, people don't like how much they vibrate after they put them in, or they say vibrations are cracking stuff. But I've been having no issues for about a year and a half with those in there, so.
I've had more issues not running them than running them because I forgot after I did my engine rebuild, I put the RuffStuff motor mounts in. Mm-hmm. A big problem I had was once you upgrade to the bomb-proof transfer case mounts, that's really stiffens up everything back there, but the motor still wants to rock. Yeah. And I was having issues with the threads pulling out of the bottom of the transfer case because there was no give there. I ended up having to Healy coil that stuff to get it back in there. And then as soon as I threw those, I had to do that a couple times with the bolts pulling out. And as soon as I used those motor mounts, never had a problem with them again or loosening up or anything like that.
Good to go, huh?
Yeah.
And you smoked a motor on that thing on the trail, right?
Yeah, a couple, yeah. Yeah. You know, the Fordyce River crossings can get deep sometimes. And I was not running a snorkel at that time.
Gotcha.
Ryan, you're a big Marlin crawler fan, right? You know Marlin and Mike, and
yeah,
you've been out to the roundup a couple times, right?
I just found all my little badges for them. I think there was like 6 or 7 of them that I've been to.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What about, what is there like a best Toyota you guys would say like for wheeling? Like as far as like wheelbase or just like stock? Like if you were to get another one and or tell someone which one to buy, what would you guys recommend?
I guess it kind of depends on their budget, but yeah, the second gens, I'm a big fan. You can find them pretty easily, pretty solid base to start with, and the wheelbase is good. Some of those third gen pickups with the extended cab can get a little long, but yeah, I would say probably a second gen pickup.
So are all second gen single cabs then?
No, I have
there are extended cabs?
Yeah, I have another 86 cabs. Mini truck extended cab.
Oh, the two-wheel drive. That's right. Yeah, that is extended. Gotcha.
Do you have dual cases in yours, Caleb?
I do. Yeah, I have the Marlin 4.7 kit in the rear and then just a stock 228 front case.
Gotcha. And what do you have on yours, Ryan?
Yeah, it was the 4.7 in the rear and then 228 in the front.
Yeah. And so I never did the 4.7, so like what's the benefit of doing that?
It's like, dual cases just in one case. And then I liked having that 228 gear just for like snow runs. Yeah. You're not revving up that engine as high and can get a little bit more speed in certain spots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like my 4.7 or not. It's good in sketchy scenarios when you don't want to roll back and you can literally let the clutch out while you're still on the brake and it won't stall. But other than that, it's really, really slow. So
yeah, I don't even like. I think I wheeled most of the time in just single low, and then I would just like every once in a while throw in double because I got tired of going that slow. Right? Yeah. So I could only imagine with a 4.7. So it's like it'd be like having I guess 3 cases then. Right?
3 stock cases basically.
Essentially, yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
But I mean, I liked it for, when you're on those steep obstacles, like, that Fordyce trail, because I always went to Fordyce and, Windshield 1 and Windshield 3 were, 2 of the hardest parts and really steep.
So
and
steep.
It's nice to, just kind of creep up it and then see how the truck's going to lean before you, recenter everything before you give it more throttle.
Were you linked?
No, it was all leaf springs.
Okay. And maybe that's why I felt like once I started getting comfortable with my truck, I felt like really comfortable. And so like I could just kind of keep the throttle going and it wasn't like as big of a deal.
Yeah, springs, it's like you can't really go that fast without your back hurting at the end of the day.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Tell us about your truck, Garrett, because you had a pretty cool Toyota back in the day.
That's right. So yeah, I had an 83. I bought like an 83 cab pickup truck, red, like a bright red. Someone nicknamed it like the Rock Lobster back in the day, and so it's always been that to me. But that was a 83 pickup. I bought a motor somewhere. I don't even remember where I got it. I got cases and dual cases and the transmission on Craigslist already assembled. I never took it apart. I just put it in the truck and was like good to go. Never touched it. And I think I also had the RuffStuff motor mounts on mine. And then I had like a soft transfer case, like a stock transfer case thing in the back. So I never saw any issues with that, but it did seem like more solid. That's for sure. I just don't remember if it caused any issues. So, rough stuff 9-inch rear and a Dana 44 in the front. The 44 was a Chevy. What was it? Yeah, Chevy. And the short side or the long side was cut down to a Waggy long side. So it left me more room on the short side of the tube to add like link or suspension
your
stuff
brackets.
too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then but it made it narrower to where it wasn't like a full width, right? So I think it was like 63.5 or 64. So it was like FJ80, I think, is about that wide.
Yeah. Tacoma width up just about.
Or JK even, I think, is even that too. So yeah, and I ran 35s.
3-link in the front and 4 in the back.
Oh yeah, 3-link in the front, 4-link in the back.
Kings on
yeah.
all corners.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think I had 6. We made a mistake on the ordering. I just didn't communicate clearly enough when I ordered it, so I just threw them in there. But I got 16s and 14s, so I put 14s in the front and 16s in the rear for the Kings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, and it ended. I wanted it to be street legal, but it ended up just through the process of
one thing leads to another.
One thing leads to another. Yeah.
Oh well, if I did this could happen.
Oh yeah, and I decided that the bed was just in the way and the rear of the frame was in the way, so I back halved it, and that just made everything simpler and it looked cooler, but I lost a lot of storage, so I had to towards the end I built like a storage up really high on the very back end for like a cooler, like a grate thing. I don't know.
The essential stuff you need.
Yeah, and that thing was cool actually because it was just super high, put weight on the back, and yeah, actually had room again. And it had a fuel cell instead of a tank.
Yeah, that was a cool truck, man. That was super cool.
Yeah, I miss it sometimes.
Until you have to work on it.
Yeah, until I have to work. I tried to spend time and money on certain things, so I didn't have to I never wanted to work on the trail. I'm I just wanted a freaking wheel, So I did the Yukon axles and ARB, and I did the Yukon U-joints that were lifetime warranty, all that good stuff. And then I think I did Dutchman rear axle shafts, and had Dina over at Performance Cryogenics spline them for me.
Nice.
But yeah.
Speaking of different back halves and different situations, what do you guys think about dove nosing or dovetailing? You didn't do that on your pickup, did you?
No, when I had the bed cut apart for the bob, I was sitting there staring at it. I'm like, well, if I'm going to dovetail it, now's the time. But it's a lot of work, especially to do it right. The bed corner comes in at a 90, and as soon as you dovetail it, you got to try to figure out how to open that corner up so it's not 90 anymore. Otherwise, it just goes into, it just looks a little weird. So no, never did it. But I do like the way it looks, and it gets the tires out of the body panels. So,
is that your first time doing body work?
Yeah, it was definitely. I'm I don't know what I'm doing, but we're just gonna go for it.
Did you? And you just MIG weld and MIG tack everything? Or?
Yeah. I put 023 wire in my welder and just tacked it, and I had a bucket with a rag in there and just quenched it every now and then, try to keep the heat out of it so it didn't warp the body panels.
Mm-hmm. I did some body stuff back in the day, just helping a buddy build a truck, and we TIGGed everything and did I forget the name of the welding wire, but it's like silicon bronze or something.
Okay.
And it's brazing almost. It melts before the steel melts.
Okay.
So you're soldering essentially. It's super super easy. And so and it's softer I think too. So I think you can sand it easier and stuff too.
Yeah.
But we left it all raw because it was just a race truck.
Yeah, it's still not finished mine. It's all rusted and unpainted, so whatever.
That's how it goes, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's more important things to be working on.
Did you answer that question?
Oh, I mean, I like to carry a lot of gear with me, so when you dovetail it and all that stuff, you kind of lose room for all your stuff. I usually like to go out for 3 to 5 days at a time, depending on where I'm going.
Yeah,
makes it a little bit harder. And if you bob the bed, you get plenty of departure angle, and not really too worried about what the tire can hit at that point.
Yeah.
What about single cab, extended cab, crew cab? I know crew cab's the new ones, but what do you guys prefer? Not single cab, right?
Yeah, I mean, my brother had a single cab forever, and he was just like done with it afterwards. He's like, can't keep like, he tries to keep stuff that he doesn't want to get, wet or dirty inside the cab. But it's just like if you have a passenger, like your sleeping bag and pillow and all that stuff's not going to be sitting there. So, yeah, definitely at least an extended cab. Ideally, nowadays I want to do like a 4-door build, and then just have that short box pickup bed just for some gear to fit in.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
So if you're running stock axles on your Toyota, like what tires do you prefer, or what would you run? What size tires?
Size.
Yeah.
I've broken way too many shafts on 37s, so no bigger than 37s on Toyota axles for me. But I hear guys pushing 40s all the time with no issues. I don't know if they're better at driving than me, or I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I've broken like 3 or 4 shafts.
On the all front or rear too?
3 front shafts. Yeah, so 3 shafts and all fronts.
All fronts, yeah.
No rears yet, so.
Man, you see the guys with the 40s, and it looks appealing because you got a fucking mile of ground clearance.
Yeah, it's almost as much as like a portal axle. Like it's crazy.
It's insane, but it's time bomb. You only got so much longer until it's gone.
I liked my 35s because it was kind of like bragging rights too. Where it's like I get up Soup Bowl with 35s.
Well, that's why 12 years I ran 35s and did pretty much every obstacle at Fordyce on them, every obstacle at Rubicon, and some of the stuff down at Hammers with it. Mm-hmm. It's like 35s on Toyota axles. You have like same ground clearance as 1-tons on like 38s or something. So it's just like
good ratio.
Yeah, and it's like you don't really break anything with a 35. Like as soon as I put lockers in it, I'm like, all right. As soon as it's locked, I went all chromoly parts in it, and because like I wanted to overbuild it and have to I want to spend my time wheeling it and not fixing it out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
So you're saying 30, no bigger than 37s, Caleb, on stock axles.
Yeah.
And you're saying the same thing, like 35s, you're cool with that?
I mean, I didn't keep my stock shafts after 35s, but I'd say 33s on stock shafts if you like to play.
I'm on chromoly shafts too, so that definitely helps. But I also made the mistake when I bought my front axle. They asked me if I wanted a 27 spline or 30 spline shaft. And at the time, I thought that was going into the carrier. And I'm like, well, I don't want to have to buy a new carrier, so I'll just do the stock 27 spline. But it turns out that that's at the Burfield, so that's my weak point. And it's all been Burfields that break every time. So
go with 30 spline.
Yeah, but I haven't even twisted
30.
the 27 spline either. So I don't know. It's always
you're just breaking like the stub shafts essentially, like the Burfield?
Actual like bell on the Burfield expands, and then the bearings just blow up inside of there, and it all comes apart.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that keeps happening again and again?
Yeah.
Damn.
Is it always when your wheel's fully turned and bound up?
No, the first one was actually my shakedown run at Prairie City. I was in the mud. I was turned all the way, and it was a shakedown run, so I don't know if the steering stops were set right. And I heard a big pop, and then the tire wouldn't turn anymore. So that one, whatever, stuff happens. But the other two, I don't know. I didn't think they would break. I was actually at Fordyce for one of them, just going through a little like dirt section before you get to a river crossing. And I thought I heard a pop, but I didn't really think anything of it. Just kept going because I wasn't in a gnarly section. I'm like, shouldn't have broke here. So I just kept going. And then I tried to go up this like literally a dirt hill, and it wouldn't go up. And I'm like, hey, is that front tire spinning? And they're like, nope. So there's another shaft gone there. And then Rubicon, I was at the little stairs going up the slabs, and I like third gear, 3,000 RPM clutch drop. And
yeah, that'll do it.
I mean, caught traction and like went up the wall, and when all the weight landed down, I heard another big pop, and that ended my weekend.
Dude, the slabs have not been good to you.
No, never. I don't. And everyone's always like, "Oh, Rubicon's a freeway." I have all my problems at the Rubicon. I've even at the second time I went after I rolled, I was headed to Buck, and I lost one injector, and then two injectors.
Oh, I remember this.
And then three injectors. And I drove from the Rubicon to Cool for almost 5 hours on one or two cylinders. And I had to get towed by a few trucks. One guy even pulled me. He had a trailer hooked up, so we just hooked the strap to his trailer, and he pulled me in the trailer. Yeah. Rubicon always gives me problems.
If you had, let's say, aftermarket shafts, and you felt solid there as far as strength inside the Toyota axle, would you still stick with like 37s, or would you guys bump it up or?
I'd probably do like a 38 max if you had all the goodies in there. You know, like 25 millimeter trunnion bearings, and then, you know, the 30 spline axle shafts, probably 38s. I mean, you'll still probably fatigue them over time and end up breaking something eventually, but that ground clearance.
Yeah, I mean, I think the axle, the next weak point is either the pinion or it's going to be the hub studs or the hub. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't push Toyota axles past a 38 like Ryan's saying.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And then you guys were street legal, right? Or are?
Yeah,
are.
Yeah,
Yep.
mostly.
So what ratio are you running with your tires on the gears?
So I was 488, and it was fine until I added the Exo. You know, that's like an extra 500 pounds.
Yeah, that'll do it, man.
So it really slowed it down. But I had the 488s and 35s just because, you know, less likely to break a, you know, ring and pinion, more tooth contact with it. So I just kind of stuck with it, decided I wasn't going any bigger than 35s, and didn't have any problems.
Yeah, I got 529s in my axle. It works perfect for the 37s, but like Ryan's saying, you're definitely not much ring gear and pinion gear contact there, and the pinion gear is getting pretty small, so you're asking to break something. But
I had 589s in mine.
Oh, but you had the Ford 9-inch
Had the Ford
and
9,
the 44.
okay. 44.
Oh, you get any ratio you
a little
want.
bit bigger.
I think the pinion was pretty tiny in the 44.
Yeah, I was going to say, the 44 has got to be similar to a Toyota axle. So
The ring gear, I remember Trevor up at WFO did that for me. I think he was saying it's super thick, like 2 to 2.5 inches, like thick overall, and the pinion's just super tiny.
dang.
But I did that because I bought the Ford 9 with a Detroit locker in it from Phil over at Liberty Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
And he was doing something else. So I bought that for whatever. I'm like, that's perfect. I don't have to spend any money on it. And then I just geared the front to match.
Nice.
But
What kind of lockers do you have in your truck, Caleb?
The front is a good old Miller locker, the old welder.
Nice.
The rear's got a Lockrite in it. I haven't had any issues with the Lockrite yet, but
wait, you welded the front?
yeah.
Okay.
Everyone says not to, but I highly disagree.
Are you running hydro assist?
No.
Oh.
I think your Burfields disagree too.
Yeah, I know, but
We may have found the culprit.
here's my thing. You know, if you have even a Lockrite in the front, when you're trying to turn, it's under stress, so it's going to be wanting to lock up. So I don't know. I just felt like unless you have an ARB, there's really no.
I'd rather be open in the front than weld it personally. You know?
Yeah.
No,
but
dude, just have your co-dog just unlock your hub.
I do. I run around in 3-wheel drive until I need the 4-wheel drive, which is probably another reason one shaft always breaks before the other because it's got more stress on it. But that's actually how I think the one at the Rubicon broke on the slabs, because after I wheeled out a Ford Ice, that was 3-wheel drive all the way out. So there was a lot of fatigue on that one shaft. I changed the broken one, but left the other one, went wheeling again, and broke the other one. So
There you have it.
So what Toyota specific products do we have? Rough Stuff.
The motor mounts like we talked about. And then we got the semi-float bearing cups for the axles if you're doing custom axles. And then the full float flanges. We got a few of those left lying around. And And you just did the video on the frame plates.
Yeah. Yep. Frame plates. Those are cool. What else we got?
That back truss for a factory 86 to 95 housing.
We have a top truss too for the front, I think.
Oh yeah, the short top truss for 85 and older housing.
So is that something? Are all those things something you guys like? I guess while you're in sales, like, is that something you recommend the people, or is it like pick and choose on the build, or?
You can kind of pick and choose on some of the stuff. The frame plates, I would definitely run. My brother and I both have ripped shock hoops off. Just it's all the weight's on leaf springs, but the shock hoops still peel off that frame.
Yeah.
So, and especially if you're going to do links and coilovers, that's putting a lot more stress on that frame. So definitely do the frame plates.
Yeah. So even if you're not doing frame plates, it's like box the frame, right? Like somehow.
Yeah.
Or not box it, but plate it, right?
Yeah, you need some kind of plating where your shock or your tower is going to be connected to, because that takes a lot of stress. And then, like, motor mounts, I would recommend the motor mounts if you're, running a bomb-proof mount on your transfer cases, because if you got too much rocking up front, then, yeah, like I said, you might have to deal with bolts loosening up on the T-case mount and, pulling thread out.
Now, have you heard anything the other way? Because I have our motor mounts, but stock case mounts, so I'm just wondering.
No, I haven't heard anything.
That's what I had too.
Yeah, I haven't heard any issues on just running, the bulletproof motor mount setup, and then just a stock transfer case setup.
That's
so,
good.
Yeah, you'll probably be all right.
You made it this far.
Yeah, I mean.
So I guess the same question to you. I mean, what about? Is that what you would recommend to like your buddies, or?
Yeah, absolutely. The frame plates are a must-have. If you're running a front housing, factory 85 front housing, definitely probably top truss it. I mean, those things are pretty thin, so any bit of help that they can get. The back truss, that's something I would want to do on my truck, but it's just kind of a lot of work, so I haven't done it.
While we're on the topic, actually, so like, what about like non-rough stuff products? Like, what else would you guys tell a customer or tell a buddy to just, you need to fix this on a Toyota because this always fails, or whatever?
Other than upgrading those burr fields, like I would never run a factory burr field. I think probably within the year I got my truck, I when I put before I did air lockers, I had a lock right in the front. As soon as I put a locker in it, I'm putting, Bobby Longs in there. So I had like the old school Bobby Long 30 splines that I threw in.
The good ones back in the day.
Yeah. And then ARP studs. If you don't have like a fifth stud or sixth stud knuckles, you definitely want to do the ARP knuckle studs. I've seen quite a few people I run out to on the truck. I used to carry like my old ones that I took out, and I've actually given a few away because you run into people on the trail with broken knuckle studs, and they're kind of stranded until you get studs back in there.
Yeah,
I'll bring a torque wrench with me to the trail and torque my knuckle studs as I'm going, because I know they come loose. I'm like, I'm not playing this game.
What about like steering? As far as like steering, like, because we offer, do you guys run the stock Toyota steering on yours, or did you upgrade the 1-ton?
I ran the
FJ80
the FJ80.
80s, yeah.
Yeah, I did Heim steering on mine, so I guess just custom made tie rod and drag link. And
then beyond like some of the like the ARP, the studs and all that stuff, and the burr fields, like, what about fabrication wise? Is there anything else to upgrade that you would recommend to other people? I mean, like the hanger, are the stock hangers okay?
Usually when you're doing the 63 swap, you end up having to move those spring hangers or the shackle hangers. The spring hangers definitely have to be moved, but the shackle hangers usually move those as well. So
yeah, when you move those, the rear shackle hanger, you're kind of going towards that edge of the frame, and it's not boxed in at the edge. On mine, I never boxed it in, but mine ended up folding up.
Oh, like I see what you're saying. The back of the
yeah,
frame's
it's
open,
still like a C channel frame at the very end where the bumper slides into. So definitely, if you're keeping the frame all the way out that far, I would box that in because the weight of the vehicle and the axle articulating over time just kind of slowly bends it in, and then your shackles are kind of.
My buddy had that on a 1-ton rear end, and his shackles are mounted right under that. And it was actually the same trip that I broke my burr field at the Rubicon. I hopped in his truck and we finished our weekend just in one truck. And we kept hearing this like tink, tink, tink. We're like, what is this noise? And it was every time the axle would articulate in the rear. Well, when we got home, put it on the trailer, we realized the shackles are all twisted in one direction. The back of the frame was getting ready to peel off because of that.
Oh, wow.
So we actually just cut the back of it off and then some 2x4 tubing, fixed it up.
I thought you were going to say cut the back off and linked it.
No, he's been talking about
Never
it.
look
but
back.
we cut the front off and linked the front.
Why Toyota, like over like Jeep or Ford? I mean, just preference or for you guys?
So they used to be more of like a budget vehicle, like within the last 10 years.
Yeah,
like,
not anymore.
Yeah, prices have just gone up. But yeah, back in the day, like, you know, you could do a lot with them for, you know, on just factory parts. Like you could do a lot with them. They were made pretty strong.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Marlin came out with the dual cases. And, you know, once you run
Changed
dual
the game.
cases, it's just like you never want to have a single case again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot less stress on the vehicle, right? Because you're not having to hit things with so much momentum and
Not
kinda
revving
more-
the shit out of everything.
Yeah, not hitting that rev limiter all the time. Or I guess you could more when you're, you know,
depending
doing,
on what you're
doing
doing.
2 miles an hour redlining.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with that 4.7 case, huh?
Yeah.
And what about you, Caleb? Was that just like what all your buds were doing, or how did it come to you? Because you started building your truck when you're pretty young,
Yeah.
and you didn't do a simple build either.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be, but it just, you know, like Garrett said, one thing turns into another and starts getting a little out of hand. But for me, it came down to storage, and it was also supposed to be my daily. So it was my high school vehicle. That's another reason I welded the front instead of the rear. Yeah, I just wanted the room. I rode dirt bikes at the time. I wanted to be able to put my dirt bike somewhere, not have to put a trailer on the back of my Jeep and then take my dirt bike somewhere. So Toyota it was, and it was a truck for me because of that bed. But yeah, I mean, Jeeps are cool, but I'm a Toyota guy.
So like what you were saying, Ryan, about the you know, that are less available or more expensive now, the Toyotas. What would be like a budget build nowadays? Like, what would be the best route to go? Is it just easier to buy something online that's like semi-built, or buy a newer year because they're about the same price as the older ones?
Yeah, and buying something just already built is going to be cheaper in general. If you're able to fab your own stuff, you know, do all your suspension work and all that, then you can almost start with anything. Like, just find something cheap online. It's like, all right, we're going to turn this into a buggy.
Yeah.
So that would probably be the cheapest way. Like going Toyotas, like I've noticed prices on like 3rd gen 4Runners have come down a little bit for stock ones. So I mean, those would be a good starting platform.
Yeah, it seemed like back in the day, man, $5,000 get you a pretty killer rig, and now it's like it's slim pickings, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty stock at that point.
Yeah, it's crazy. The market's going through the roof on those things right now. But
It's like houses.
yeah, I mean, everything's going up right now.
I wonder if personal loan rates are cheap too, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, people
Can't drive a house.
yeah. Plus with all the Affirm stuff now, right?
Yeah.
Just finance your whole build.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, RuffStuff Specialties does have firm financing, in case you're wondering. I know, Ryan, you're talking about getting like 4-door one day, but if you had to pick and, you know, the actual purchase price wasn't a factor, would you go new school or old school?
Old school or no, I think I'd go new school.
Even with the new nanny features and more computers and more challenging things.
Yeah, and because, you know, you get more power out of a V6.
That's true.
These days, like, you know.
Or like an old V8, you know?
Yeah, a new V6 gets as much power as an old 80s V8. And, you know, be able to get some of that gas mileage still.
Yeah.
You know, don't want to be spending $200 on gas for a weekend trip.
Yeah. What about you, Caleb? What would you do?
Oh, I don't know. I think I like the body style on those first gens, man. If you could find a clean one, money wasn't a factor, just ruin a nice clean one. It'd be great.
Whole Marty McFly special.
Yep.
That'd be sweet. I'd take like an old. I like the old school ones too. The 83s, like the first
Big
gens.
rounded fenders and stuff.
Yep. And money no factor. Cool. Make it freaking awesome. Put like air conditioning in it and
Yeah.
all the cool stuff that the new ones have. Right.
Speaking of older Toyotas, that old two-wheel drive one you bought a while ago was kind of a weird one. It was a 86 or 87, but it was a 22R.
Oh,
Wasn't it carbureted instead of fuel injected?
Yeah, it was an 85 or 86. I forget. I got it for a couple $100 from my dad's neighbor. I made $20 on it, I think, selling it to my brother. And he lives down in the Bay Area, and it's already been broken into like 3 times. Like the windows smashed now, and yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't take the whole thing. Those things you can just start with just about any Toyota.
They did. They took it. And,
did they?
Yeah, and he found some tweakers in it like a block away.
Oh.
He lives like out in like, it's not, like, I think he lives out in Hunters Point. Where it's like, that's like the Compton of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
It's
deep in there, yeah.
Not the nicest. He sends like, I see like Instagram stories on his page where like, one the other day there was like a car burning like right outside his like hilarious shop, and then the next the fire department's there putting it out, and the next one there's just some tweakers pulling all the copper wire out of it in a matter of like an hour.
Oh my God.
So awesome.
Yeah.
The story unfolds.
So he's like, yeah, he sent me a photo of like the truck window broken, and he's like, I'm moving. That's what made you move. Anyways, so there's a lot worse stuff that's happened.
Yeah, that was a neat truck because it was post 85, but it's still carbureted.
Yeah, it's carbureted.
They kept carbureted around until 88, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it was still an option for like the base model stuff.
Yeah, on the two-wheel drives, when I was trying to find a two-wheel drive, that was the hardest part. I wanted the EFI, but it seemed like every two-wheel drive I found had carburetor, and I'm like, ah. Yeah. So I found a SR5, and that had fuel injection.
And,
gotcha.
All right, as far as the steering goes, I was curious because I did an FJ80 box on mine. Or were you guys running just the IFS?
Yeah, IFS box.
Box, yeah. Cool.
Is the FJ80 box bigger? Or
it is, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's all the same.
A little bigger and then different throw on the pitman arm. Wasn't yours pitman arm went off the front of it?
It does, yes. You're right. Yeah.
I think the 60 and the 80 were like that.
Yep, and I liked that. I totally forgot about that till now, but at the time I liked that because the IFS one, you have to put the box so far in front of the axle where it's like if you wanted to trim things up or whatever, if you hit anything, it's going to damage it. Well, it puts it further back now. It's safer. It's a bigger, I think it's a bigger shaft, or maybe it's the same size sector shaft, but
I can't remember. It's like a 4-bolt one instead of a 3-bolt.
Yeah. My theory was it's for a heavier vehicle, it's going to be stronger.
Yeah. So you didn't have to cut into the front clip trying to push that other box.
That's right.
That far forward.
Yeah, I just like boxed I think I cut open the frame, boxed the one side, and then took some of the, like those sleeves that we had here that were like quarter wall and sleeved the inside of the frame, and then plated around it again, and it was just never had a problem.
Yeah.
What about places you like the wheel? I know the Rubicon already hates you, Caleb. So
yeah, I'm a big fan of Fordyce. It's not too far up 80 for me. Good wheeling. Rubicon's just farther away, and yeah, I always have trouble there. So it is nice though for the long trips, like Ryan's liking 5-day trips. Those are nice out there because you got the lake, you can go hang out at the lake. Fordyce isn't as cool for a long trip, but
we got that nice camping spot at the bottom of Winchell 1 where it's got a little kind of pool and river area flowing through.
Yeah.
There's a couple good spots at Fordyce if you want to cool off.
Yeah.
What about you?
Fordyce was the first trail I went to, and that's always been kind of my go-to because I'm in Grass Valley. I was always like a 40-minute drive away.
Yeah.
So we would, if we want to do a quick run, like just a day trip, jet up there, run Eagle to Committee, head back down, be home before dark. Like that was...
Yeah, it's a quick and easy way in too.
Yeah. So it was, always Fordyce was my go-to. And then after a couple years of doing that, started doing Rubicon. I think maybe my first time at Rubicon may have been at one of the Marlin Roundups I went to. But it's always good to go with a bunch of people that have been there before and know what's going on out there.
Have Toyota knuckle studs.
Yeah, everyone's got Toyota parts, so if something happens.
Is there any places you guys still want to go wheel that you haven't, like on the bucket list?
Yeah, definitely like Moab. I mean, I've been out camping at Moab, but this was like when I was, a kid with the family and, just going sightseeing and stuff. So Moab, I can't remember what that forest up in Oregon's called. But I hear they got some pretty good trails up there to check out.
Oh, with the huge rock gardens where it's like a football field of rocks.
Might be. I think it starts with a T. I don't remember the name, but yeah, Oregon definitely. I know there's a few other trails further out east that once I get a good tow rig, it would be nice to drive out that far.
What about you, Caleb?
Moab definitely is another, one.
You were just out there, right?
I was out at Sand Hollow.
Oh, Sand Hollow.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so similar, but I want to go out there, see how the truck does on the sandstone, and I don't know. I don't really think I have another one other than Moab. Did Barrett last year. That was cool. Moab
Barrett's just closed, or they were closed for a few seasons, and I think they just finally started reopening it.
Yeah. So I think Moab's number one for me, but I don't even think I have a number two.
Yeah, Moab was pretty cool. We went there for a couple of years just for that event, the Easter Jeep Safari.
Yeah.
EJS.
And one year I was there. You guys remember Jason Ratcliffe that started making those 69 axles?
J-Rat.
The Dana 60.
Yeah.
With the 9-inch
I know the
thirds.
name. I've never met him, though.
Yeah, he was there, and he's like, you want to drive my Toyota up Hell's Revenge? I'm like, okay. So I got to do that. That was cool.
I guess Moon Rocks would be another one for me. I've never been to Moon Rocks.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so close, man.
That was actually, that's my favorite place to wheel. Because it's, especially with a linked rig, it's really technical, and it's smaller, so it's not like trail wheeling, but it's more there's unlimited lines, and you can.
That's like the party.
It definitely can be, yeah,
party area.
especially if you go on Memorial Day or whatever.
Well, and you can bring anything you want. You bring a dirt bike. You bring a Vespa and have a good time. You do whatever you want.
That was the other thing I liked about it too, where you could bring whatever you want. You could break and then just pull yourself off and go home, because you're at your campsite. So, that place is cool.
I
And you
always
can
hear
bring big
people.
trailers and stuff too, which is nice.
Yeah, I always hear people talking about that. I just break and back my trailer right up to the rock and go home. I'm like, that's a good point.
Yeah, it definitely can get sketchy out there though, because it is such a small, confined area. Yeah, people can party hard, and
People get hot headed out there too, man.
And you gotta watch out for just people doing dumb things, or I think I don't know if I was out there, but it's either I was out there or I heard a story of it. But someone got pinched between two vehicles one time because they were spotting and being drunk, and
Dude, every Memorial Day, someone gets smoked out there.
Yeah.
Pretty much every year. Sometimes a couple.
Yeah, it's
There was
horrible.
2 years ago, it was 3 or 4 people. It's crazy.
Life light's always out there.
And especially with the coming up of the side by sides. It's
everyone's going faster.
You get Joe Blow, dude, that's never wheeled in his life. Just bought a huge toy hauler, a huge truck, and the biggest side by side they can get, and they're just doing 100 miles an hour through camp,
What about any good wheeling stories?
Not really, other than when I rolled.
Let's hear that one. I don't think we got to hear that one yet.
I was first trip to the Rubicon. It was for my graduation from high school. Me and 2 or 3 buddies went out there. We left late, so we got there at midnight, aired down, got on the rocks, and made it out to the slabs. And first time there, we could see the little markers on the ground, but we weren't sure exactly where to go. And we ended up going off the slabs in the wrong spot. And so I rolled. There was a big break in the rocks, and when the front end dropped, I felt the rear end start picking up, and I stabbed the throttle trying to catch it, but wasn't quick enough. It had an automatic in it at the time, so the gearing wasn't as low. And then, the delay and the torque converter and all of that. But
Is that spot that's I guess I would call it a little S-turn spot where there's a drop off right when you start the slabs?
yeah, so right after you get out of Gatekeeper, you kind of turn left a little bit and go down the slabs. I stayed too far right, and I kind of went straight out instead of to the left. And there's a big split in the rocks. And actually my side had a 2-foot drop, and the passenger side, I asked my passenger, I'm like, how's it look? He said fine, but he didn't tell me it was a ramp. So my front tire had a 2-foot drop, but his side had a ramp. So it picked the whole vehicle up and flipped us over.
Yeah, it looked fine.
Yeah, it sounds like that side was fine. Yeah, it sounds like it was your side.
Yeah.
I came up to it square hoping front end would drop and then the rear end would drop and we'd be fine because you're already on the slabs, you're already a little off camber.
Yeah.
But he had a ramp on his side. That made all the difference.
And you didn't have a cage in that thing either, huh?
No, yeah,
Oh, man.
and stupidly enough, wasn't wearing seatbelts.
Oh,
Caleb.
Yeah, I know. We literally just got back in the truck. They got stuck in gatekeeper, so I was out of my truck. Me and my passenger, is my little brother. We got out of the truck. We hopped back in, and just didn't put on the seatbelts. When I felt it start going over, I mean, I grabbed my little brother as hard as I could, and I wedged myself into the steering wheel, and no one got hurt, but truck and all of our camping gear went everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
We had like our Pepsis like 50, 100 yards away. I mean, they were just everywhere.
What about you, Ryan?
I would say my worst trip was probably at Fordyce, our most memorable. It was me, my brother, and Greg from Rock and Road. It was like 8 years ago. I think it was on my second engine at the time. But it was like November, and we're like, hey, let's just do a quick Sunday run up to Fordyce. We'll make it quick. We'll start at Committee, and we'll go down trail to Eagle. And, we get to the trailhead. It's starting to rain. We're like, oh, this is fine. Get to the first river crossing. Oh, we're still good. Like, everything's good. And as we keep going down river crossings, it's getting deeper and deeper from all that rain pouring down the hills.
Yeah.
So it's like, you check the flow, like, online before you head out there. It's like, oh, it's good. And then we didn't think about, how much rain's coming down those hills and filling up that river. And by the time we got to the river crossing, between windshield 2 and windshield 1, it was headlight deep. My headlights were, 48 inches, 4 feet. And so, Greg makes it through in his Jeep TJ, no problem. My brother goes through. His rig was still carbureted at the time, so his intake was, up on top of the engine, no problem. And so I'm the last one in line. I start going, and then as soon as the factory intake's like right behind the headlight, as soon as I go in, the headlights drop underwater.
Oh, fuck.
Sucks a bunch of water through. And then, piston 4 goes out the side of the block. And so at that point, they had to turn around and come back across the river while going around me. I was like, in the good spot to try and get across. So like they floor past me, like bumping my rig as they go by. And, we spent 6 hours getting it out of the river just to windshield 2. And at that point, I called it a day. It was pouring down rain. Everyone was soaking wet. I'm like, well, let's come back later and get it. And then we came back 3 days later and spent another 6 hours getting it to the road and getting it trailered home.
Dang.
That's a long day.
That is a long day.
Yeah.
What about overlanding? Are you guys into that at all? Have you gone overlanding? Have you been overlanding?
Is that like classified as camping off-road?
Camping off-road, yeah.
That's most of my trips.
I think it's more like wheeling glamping is the way I interpret it. It's like fancy camping.
I
but
didn't have
wheeling.
all the fancy gear, just like a floor tent, none of that rooftop stuff.
Yeah. Or maybe more long distance.
Long range. I heard an interesting term the other day. It was actually applied to Subaru Crosstracks. So I don't know if it applies here, but it was soft roading.
Soft roading.
I think that's kind of the vibe.
Yeah, like the dirt fire roads. They just want to go smash down that.
Are you guys into that at all, or curious about it?
I like, not really. I mean, I'm always bare bones, like bring just what you need, like
More
tools
beer than
and
gear.
Yeah, a lot of beer. Yeah. And then tools and spare parts. Like I always carried tools and spare parts, and luckily I rarely had to use them on myself. But between your whole crew, it's like everyone's got something that can fix something.
In high school, I mean, after school we'd go bomb the railroad tracks or something. But it's always stupid stuff out there too, man. Like I get water in my distributor because I think I can go through this big mud hole. That doesn't end up working out. I got a clogged injector out there one time too, and then I was going home on 3 cylinders. So I don't know. Seems like the easier stuff hates my truck, and the hard stuff,
it's all good.
Eats it up. Yeah.
So go to Moon Rocks then, I guess.
Yeah.
Just avoid the people there.
Yeah. Let's go on like a Wednesday or something.
Yeah, huh? Yeah.
So one question I got, you know, RuffStuff is quite the solid axle based kind of company, but IFS has been coming up pretty hot. What do you guys think about the more performance long travel IFS, or like stuff Big Mike's working at over at Marlin with the, you know, super tough long travel, high clearance stuff? What do you guys think about that? I mean, is that something you guys would maybe in the future, more modern vehicle, ever consider doing something like that?
I definitely like the thought of going fast. Yeah, there's actually a Tacoma around here that I don't know what long travel kit it has on there, but it's really cool looking. I thought it was straight axle the first time I saw it, and then I didn't see a tube going all the way across. I'm like, what's going on under there? It's cool little IFS setup. There's also a 400 I've seen. It's got like a Spider Tracks rear axle in it and Kings in all four corners. So yeah, it's definitely cool, but it sounds expensive. So
Yeah, it's pretty expensive, man.
yeah.
Buy a couple Dan 60s for one front kit.
It's also like more the same bad stuff that happens wheeling happens going fast, but in a lot more extreme case, right?
Because you're going fast.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
some
little more
stuff.
unpredictable at higher speeds because
Yeah,
you don't know where it's gonna stop.
Yeah, if you hit like a 4-foot boulder going a mile an hour versus 50,
That's true.
Yeah, all your problems are more dramatic at speed. Yeah.
Or like hit a pothole, like a giant hole. Every time I talk to like Ryan Piggott when I see him, he's like, "Oh yeah, I just crashed it." I'm like, "Oh cool."
Yeah.
Rip the I-beam off and right on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, that guy's getting good at building beams, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never run an IFS rig before, so, but I mean, you see them winning King of the Hammers races, so it's like there's something to them. But
Yeah. Yeah, it might be the future of definitely, you know, well, it definitely is the future of off-road racing. But I mean, what about your current daily driver truck? Would you ever do a long travel kind of action on that?
yeah, I was thinking about it. I mean, this is Toyota talk, but I'm driving a Nissan Frontier right now. Well, I mean, yeah, you can do the Titan swap and, you know, get it 5 inches wider and run Titan suspension and axles under it. So it's like, I was kind of thinking that just for a little mild build and, you know, grocery getter.
Something fun.
Yeah.
I feel like for like the right setup, you can kind of do anything. Like even with the Razor, for instance, that's A-arm. It wheels really well. It's like there's good ratios going on there. It's a short wheelbase. So you're not getting high centered on stuff. The A-arms are high clearance. We're not doing like crazy articulation on that. We're just kind of going through the trail. We're wheeling. We're not doing these crazy obstacles, but it's
Just kind of smashing through things when you can't, you know, articulate around it.
it's getting us, you know, where we need to be. But
Yeah, definitely. I can't knock IFS. Like, like I enjoyed using the Racer. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. It's like a golf cart.
Yeah.
Never had a bad time in a golf cart. Oh, no, I have one question.
Okay.
1 tons or Toyota axles. If you could pick any Toyota axle, even like the Ryan Harris dream Toyota axle that you've talked about in the past, would you do Toyota axles or would you do 1 tons?
I've stepped away from the Toyota axles. But I mean, it really depends on the build. Like if you're a 4-cylinder, like I really don't see a point in tons. Like you're just adding that much more weight.
Yeah.
You can keep the smaller tires and still have good ground clearance. I feel like, you know, if you're putting 1 tons under a 4-cylinder truck to run those bigger tires and not have problems, you're still going to have that, you know, low hanging diff. That's going to be the part that snags. And, you know, Toyotas on 35s, like you still got tons of diff clearance. It's a rounded diff. You can kind of just slide it over
No
stuff.
huge lip on the bottom.
Yeah, but if you're running like a V6 or a V8, then it's like skip the Toyota stuff and just jump to 1 tons and not have to worry about it.
Yeah. What about you, Caleb?
I don't know.
I know it's been on your mind.
Yeah, I've been back and forth on 1 ton swap in my Toyota for a while now. I don't know. It's really tough. The Tundra 10.5s, those are starting to come around. So,
Those are the thirds are expensive. Have they gotten a lot cheaper? Or?
I priced it out and it was going to be like $700 per third.
Yeah,
And that's not even with the gear ratio you want.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're just getting the dropout at that price and replacing everything.
Yeah,
Damn.
I think we got like RuffStuff got lucky and we picked up some like on like Craigslist or wherever someone like blew it up and was just selling it for like scrap price. You know, it was like $50 or $100, and we didn't need the gears. We just needed the whole pattern.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
to make the housing.
Yeah.
yeah. But then you have the weird lug pattern with those things. It's like a 5 on...
You're probably doing custom shafts
yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, Yeah, I guess if you had to pick a Toyota axle in its factory form or a 1-ton axle in its factory form, I'm probably going 1-ton. But if you can piece things together, Toyota axles are... I'm a big fan of the removable third member. So, and I know for the desert guys, it's a really big deal. They can bring one third member and swap it out and not have to worry about trying to re-gear the axle right there in the desert. So I don't know. I like the removable third member, but man, there's just too many pieces of this and that to get it where you want. So 1 tons for me.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I like the Ford 9 rear.
Yeah.
So I'd go back with that again if I were to build another one. And spending that much money on a 44, after I did it all, I was like, that was stupid. I could have got a Daniel 60 for like almost the same price. You know, You're just doing a bare housing and now you're putting all this expensive stuff in it. So that would have been a better deal. Obviously, there's like less ground clearance, but I feel like you just learn how to drive better. You know, you
learn where the diff is and you
don't
just
hit your diff.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So we got a game that our technical producer Joel put together. That's why I'm gonna start calling you from now on, Joel, when we do this. And it is what's that Toyota? What do we got here? We got some pictures of Toyotas, just a small snapshot. We're gonna guess the year and the model.
Oh, that's easy. The first one was easy too.
Yeah.
The first one was looked like a second gen 2-door 4Runner, which was incredibly rare.
This looks like
or it's a Surf, the out of country model. But that one, that's a first gen.
So this is a first
79 to 83 pickup.
I think we got 2 different pictures here. We got the rear on one side and the front on the other.
It's an 83. It's got the square headlight on the front.
Yeah. I do know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, they had the brown headlights before 83.
83.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh, it's SR5, with the stripes on it.
Wow, Ryan.
That's a runner, huh?
Yeah, that's a second gen 4Runner. Must be the 3.0.
Yeah, I was going to say like 89 or 90.
It's got the reverse lights in the tailgate.
I think
I'm going to go with a 92.
I'm going to say.
All right, I'm going 90. Oh man.
2 for 2. Ryan Harris. Oh man.
It's just a round.
This looks
headlight.
like a FJ80 or a FJ40 headlight.
Yeah, it's definitely FJ.
It's got the round bezel.
Yeah, I see the bezel.
It's got to be a 40.
My 83 Toyota though had round headlights. I think.
It did, but
didn't have that bezel.
Yeah, it wouldn't
right?
have that white bezel around it. I don't think.
Oh no. Yeah.
So that's probably
right.
That's got to be like a.
You're gonna hit us with something weird like a 55 or something, aren't you?
I'm gonna say.
Ryan's good.
Well, it's tough, man. The 40 was around for a long time. I'm just going to say like a 70, 40. 71. Ooh,
Ryan Harris.
Yeah, he's good.
Wow.
Oh, that's a newer one.
Oh, dude, that's like
Tacoma or 4Runner.
Or that's like my Toyota Corolla steering wheel.
Is that a RAV4?
Yeah. That's my 2005 Toyota Corolla.
Just
got this one from the parking lot.
Oh, 21 Land Cruiser. Okay.
Land Cruiser. Oh, that's a new one, huh?
I have not. Cool. Yeah, I have not seen those ones yet.
Yeah, I haven't at all.
Dude, they only start at like $85,000 to get in one.
Only.
Yeah. Affirm.
Okay, this one's tough.
We got the 2 headlights, so this is gonna be like a Hilux of.
Oh, that's gonna be maybe an FJ60.
Are those the headlights on the roof, like the roll bar? Looks like there's 2 of them right there, huh?
Yeah, there's 2, but there's some Toyota models that have double headlights. But no, the 60 was square headlights, so it's not a 60.
I'm just gonna guess and say 85 from Back to the Future. You know,
the
roof.
The roll bar with the
roll bar with it. Yeah,
it's
dual
like
round lights.
79 pickup. I don't know.
I'm kind of leaning that way too. We'll go with a 78. Oh, 64 stout.
I was wondering. Those things are super rare.
Yeah, okay.
They are. I saw one of these at SEMA one time, man. It was a cool vehicle.
Yeah, I've only seen pictures of them. I don't think I've ever seen one up close.
They're sweet.
There was
super
one
rare.
on Craigslist for sale for a while, but it was rusty and too much money.
Was the one a couple months ago? I saw one a couple months ago for like $4,000. Oh no, this one was gray, primer gray.
No, this one was like the nice baby blue color, but it was a little rough. So
That was a handful.
Definitely not going to go up against Ryan on any
Toyota. Got a couple of them, right?
Yeah. So if you need to buy parts at Rough Stuff and you need them to be Toyota specific and need somebody to guess the model of what you're working on over the phone, ask for Ryan.
Yeah.
Send pictures.
Yeah. I got this pile of stuff for my buddy.
It's like a door panel.
I think that's about it.
Cool. Well, appreciate you guys being on here, and for everyone listening, appreciate you guys listening. Make sure if you like, or I guess even if you don't like, leave us a review on Apple. Appreciate the likes though, or the stars, and we'll be sure to share it on the next podcast. So if you write something, we'll definitely read it out loud. So appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.